Hey, this is Josh with Frontend Tribe, bringing you today's Frontend 5, where I break down a front-end concept on a daily basis to help you learn. If you're someone who wants to learn more about front-end development, make sure and hit that subscribe button so that you can get new videos like this delivered to you every single day. Now, today we're diving into the HTML input tag. Now, interestingly enough, the input tag is one of the few where you don't actually have an ending tag. That's not really valid. It's what's called a self-closing tag. So you write an input, but you don't really write any HTML inside of it. Now, as it's shown right here, the default type is type equals text. And that's going to allow you to write any kind of text in this input field. I can write letters, I can write numbers, any of that, email addresses, whatever it is, I can write that in a type equals text. If I want to narrow that down a little bit and make it so I can't write anything and everything, one of the things I can do is I can say type equals number. Now, type equals number will not allow me to type letters into the input. It will allow me, though, to type numbers. So if I'm doing input type, or if I create an input type equals number, just know that that restricts the user to only being able to type numbers into that input field. Another type I can use is type equals email that restricts it to emails, but it only validates when the form is submitted. So it will allow me to type anything I want in here, but if the form gets submitted, it's going to kick it back if it's not a real email. Those are the major ones that look like a text input, but there's other ones that don't exactly look like a text input, like input type equals checkbox. A type equals checkbox will create an HTML checkbox, and let's give it a label of accept the terms. And you can see that this is something that you might fill out on a form. Now, the problem with the way this is set up right now is that if I click the text, I can't select my checkbox. So in order to associate our label with our input, one of the things we can do is we can wrap both our label and our input in a label tag, and that will associate the two together. So even if I'm clicking the text, I can still click the checkbox as well. That's a really helpful little tip there. Another similar input is type equals radio. That creates a radio button. So this would be something like if you were going to say, give someone an option of a couple of options that they could click between. You could say input type equals radio, and what it should do is allow someone to choose one or the other, but not both. In this case, I have a problem though, because these two radio buttons aren't associated together yet. The way that you associate radio buttons together and say these are for the same question is you use the name attribute. So if I say name equals yes or no, and I do that on the second one as well, then I get the case where I can only select one or the other because those radio buttons have been associated together. Now, I still have the same problem with these radio buttons that I just have with my input type equals checkbox, because I can click yes and I can click the no text, but that's not allowing me to change the input type equals radio. So what do I need to do? I need to surround both of my radio buttons with their own labels to associate the label with the actual input. So here is my label that I'm going to put around the first one, and I'm going to do the same thing with the second one. Go ahead and put a radio around a label around those, and that will allow me, if I can get my HTML correct, that will allow me to use the text and click the text in order to select the radio buttons inside the label. Now, I only have time for one more input type, so I'm going to show you input type equals submit, and this is the last one. This is going to be a form button that you can use to submit a form. Now, by default, this has the text of submit, but if I say value equals submit my form, then that changes the actual text of the submit button. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with another video just like this.